Indie Intel is a new series we're starting here on Hapticast that will also release as its own separate video where we highlight indie games that are coming out soon or new games that have been announced that we think deserve some spotlight. This week we're going to be talking about Firewatch. Okay, Firewatch is coming out soon. I'm going to put this video out before it comes out, and then we'll probably do a review afterwards as well.
I'd like to review this game. So
So I'll give a synopsis of the story, and then you can hop in with some wounds.
You got it.
All right. So it's a mystery set in the Wyoming wilderness, and your only emotional lifeline is the other person on the other end of a handheld radio. It's set in 1989, and you're a character named Henry.
Okay. I want to point out, I wrote this down.
Yeah.
Henry is voiced by a guy named Rich Sommer. Some of you guys might know him as Harry Crane in the series Mad Men, which is very popular.
Wow.
Very popular show.
I don't like Mad Men, but I know who he is.
I'm not a fan of it either, but yes, I know.
And Henry has retreated from a messy life to work as a fire lookout. Okay, so you're stationed on top of a mountain, and it's your job to keep the wilderness safe. Mm-hmm. Your supervisor, who is the person on the other end of the radio, is named Delilah.
And I have some information on Delilah as well. You might know Delilah as Cissy Jones. She's a voice actress. She's not an actor or an actress. She's a voice actress. I guess it's debatable if you want to call her a regular actress. She's not on screen.
Yeah.
She does the voices. And she is also known as Katja from The Walking Dead, the video game, Telltale.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. Kenny's wife.
Yeah.
And also Joyce Price in the video game Life is Strange, which is interesting because both of those games are dialogue-driven choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Games. And I'm going to get back into that once we're done with this description because there's a nice little bit of information I can give about that.
Okay.
Continue.
So something strange draws you out of your lookout tower and into the world below. You'll explore a wild and unknown environment, facing questions and interpersonal choices that can build or destroy the only meaningful relationship you have.
Okay. So it's a first-person adventure game.
Yeah.
Very dialogue-driven.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking to Delilah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your only person you can talk to.
Right.
Via a walkie-talkie. Okay. I want to point out a couple of things. This game has a lot of inspirations. And one of the things you need to know is Campo Santo Studios.
Right.
Two of the people working on Firewatch were the creative leads for Telltale's The Walking Dead.
I did not know that before this.
There you go. And it's very important to know this because the dialogue system used is very heavily influenced by Telltale's The Walking Dead, which is great because that game is superb.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Also, it's kind of cool because Katja from The Walking Dead, the voice of her, is in this game as well. So they must have had contact with her still after they were done The Walking Dead and they brought her back for this. I think that's really cool. Also, the walkie-talkie dialogue, you're talking through a walkie-talkie, is inspired by your relationship with Atlas in the game BioShock, which is a very big game.
Yeah.
So, to say the least.
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit of a big game.
Yeah. So the game's influenced by two great games, The Walking Dead and BioShock.
That's awesome. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is Campo Santo's first game.
Yeah, so I have some more info about Campo Santo as well. They're a small team, only 11 people on their website listed. So, and two of them are the guys from The Walking Dead.
Right.
They're located in San Fran, and here's a quote from them. "We set out to make games about interesting people in fascinating places." I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, listen, the vibe I get from them, even just seeing the first game, or the first gameplay of it, you can. It's kind of contradictory in a way, and it's hard to say sometimes, but and how I'm trying to describe this, but you can just tell when you look at something like a piece of art or like you watch a show or something, you can tell it was crafted by people that care, that people that are invested in what they're doing, and by people that want to tell their stories and push forward things in an interesting way. I mean, Firewatch, from the first time we saw it, is beautiful. It's a different looking game than we've seen before, and it's beautiful. You can already tell that the voice acting is superb from the little bit that they had.
Their relationship.
And I was immediately invested when watching that gameplay trailer. And then they showed a little bit that was like, well, what the fuck is that? And I'm so interested in what the game is actually going to be about.
Definitely.
Because they've done a good job of keeping it under wraps, and we know that it's going to be relatively short as far as the narrative goes. But I think they've shown the light side to it, and they've given a little hint of what is to come.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really dark, and I think the ending, I'm literally going to say this when it ends, and be like, what the fuck, dude?
You think?
That's what I think. The last thing I'm going to say is when I beat the game.
It's interesting. I'm excited to play it. I think it looks beautiful. It reminds me of like not the scenery so much, but what's his name, Henry, the main character.
Yeah.
Just the way his hand looks, because you see it's first person obviously, so
Right.
you see his hands. It reminds me of Team Fortress 2, the art style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the heavy weapons guy, his hands.
Exactly.
You know, so that's what it reminds me of, and I like that. I love that art style. I think the game looks beautiful. The lighting looks beautiful. I think the imagery and the logos even like just are excellent looking.
I like their website. I went on there and, I mean, it's just the website doesn't really affect the game at all. But I went on there and it's Henry standing on the cliff, right? And there's like the mountain range in the background. But when you scroll down, like the image like moves up.
Okay.
It was just nicely put together. So
I don't think this game's gonna have a hard time selling.
No.
The objective of this show, this topic thing we're doing right now, Indie Intel, is to bring, like you said, shed some light on these indie games. I don't think this game necessarily needs it, but I just want to stress even more that people need to play this game.
Yeah.
It comes out very soon. It comes out February 9th on PS4, PC, and Mac, I believe.
Yeah.
They said, recently, today actually, Campo Santo, they said that if you wanted to come to the Xbox One,
if there's an interest in it, yeah.
Tell them. Tweet out. Let them know that you want to see this game on the Xbox One. You guys are going to be missing out. It's going to be like a Rocket League kind of situation where it's a indie game, you're sleeping on it, it comes out on these consoles, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You need to tell them.
But apparently it doesn't need much to run on PC, so if that's...
Yeah.
Get it on PC if you can.
It was made in Unity.
Right.
Unity is a game development program. It's used to make a lot of games.
Unity Engine 4 is free right now.
Yeah.
I have it on my computer.
I think Slender, the original Slender, the indie game that was a hit, was made in Unity, and that game could run on literally anything. You could run it on a toaster. It was bad.
A toaster?
So I'm not saying that this game is not going to be powerful or anything like that, but...
Yeah. But I think this is a good game for our first segment of this. But I think it's going to do well. I think there's been some hype about it, some buzz. And I don't know. When looking at this game and thinking about it and looking at everything that's there, I think it's going to be a special game. And I think people that say that indies are bad or they don't want to play indies, maybe try this one out.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Suck up your pride and try it.
And this one kind of sits on the edge of indie and AAA because although it is an indie game and it's a small team working on this game, it has the spotlight of a AAA game. It's getting more attention than a lot of indies do. And it's not a side-scroller or an isometric. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, and also, I mean, it's coming out for PC too, but Sony has been pushing this game a lot.
They have.
And I think why they're doing that is because, let's look back, even though it wasn't an indie game, it was made by a smaller team of people Until Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I don't think that Sony actually knew how big that game was going to be.
No, they didn't at all.
Right, so they didn't really, they advertised it, but it wasn't advertised that much, and then it came out, and people loved it, and then it built and built and built and built, and now it has a huge following.
I mean, you could compare it, you could say that it's because of games like The Order 1886, where it's these beautiful looking games that are more story driven than they are gameplay. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened was maybe Sony advertised The Order, they did advertise The Order a lot.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Until Dawn, they were like...
They were afraid.
Yeah. They were nervous, and they missed out, and that game could have sold so many more copies.
Yeah. My opinion is, any game that is released on your platform, indie, AAA, middle tier, whatever, push it as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Okay? And even if it does bad, you know what? You try. And you gotta own up to it.
There's so many games out there that people sleep on because they just consider it indie and it's garbage, but... I mean, we're kind of talking this game up before we play it. That's the point of the show, though. We're talking it up because we want people to try it.
Yeah.
It looks interesting from what we've seen.
Right. And you know what? If we get it and it's bad and we don't like it, then we'll say it. Mm. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't encourage developers and small teams like this to continue making games. Yeah. Because look at Psyonix with Rocket League.
Psyonix made several other games that were, I think they were franchises that weren't even, like IPs that weren't even owned by them.
Right.
Like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. They took that universe of Soul Reaver and they made another game out of it. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty popular game, but they're not known for that. Rocket League is a game that they made. Same with Super Acrobatic Robot Battle Cars. They took that and they made Rocket League out of it, and it's what they're known for now.
Right.
And that is this company's Campo Santo. This is their first game. They can start off right from here with this big hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Also, something that we noted in a previous video before, there's not going to be any DLC or anything to this game.
No. That's something you got to add, too, because you got to bring the price into it and how long the game is.
Ooh, that reminds me. You're right about the price. Mm. It's $20.
Yeah.
But if you pre-order it on Steam...
$17.99.
Yeah. You get 10% off. And then also, if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you get 10% off as well.
Yeah.
Which is good because that is making the game a little cheaper. It's appealing, and it'll appeal to more people since it's a lower price.
Definitely.
Which is good, and it'll get in the hands of more people.
The game is short.
Oh, yeah.
Ish. But when it's all story like that, I don't really... And it's that cheap, too. I mean, if this was a $40, $50 game, like, I'd be like, I'm going to wait until it goes on sale.
Yeah.
$17, $18 is a perfect price for a 6-hour game to me, like, especially one that looks this good.
Right.
They said no DLC, which is good. They're not trying to make more money off of this experience. You're going to get the game, you're going to play it, you're going to beat it.
No sequel?
No sequel. They're telling the story in one game, which is good. At this time, anyway, there's no sequel. We can come back in a couple years and maybe they'll want to revisit.
Or maybe they'll, well, they're saying there's no sequel, then I think they think that their story is done. And I don't think they should try to milk it if they don't want to.
I don't think so either.
Just create something else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully they will from the money that they get from
it. They say they set out to make games about interesting people and fascinating places, and that seems like exactly what this is.
Yeah.
And maybe they could do another game like that, you know, in a setting we haven't seen before. We haven't seen a game like this. Like, you're sitting in a fire tower. Who the hell would think of that? You know what I mean? That's what makes it so unique. So they'll take a fascinating place and interesting people, and they'll put them in a game together again, you know?
Yeah. So, go out, get this game, try it out, and look forward to our review.